and welcome to another edition of Ask Spurrell CPA. Today we're talking about why you should never cancel appointments. So Cole, we never get business owners who cancel appointments ever. Does that ever happen? Yeah, business owners, we get them they do cancel appointments sometimes. So the Zig Ziglar quote that I have is, if you don't plan your time, someone else will help you waste it. The statistic, we're always trying to help is 50% of all Canadian small businesses fail, and our belief that they fail for predictable reasons with very proven solutions to beat those. And the story that we have here is business owners, they get rushed and they begin to reschedule appointments thinking that is, that's the move. That's the thing that they should do to overcome that time crunch. But they don't realize that rescheduling things ends up making it worse. So Cole, what are the questions that you think business owners should be asking before they get into that doom loop, so to speak?
Why is time a more important resource than cash?
So the most important number in business is 168. We all have 168 hours in a week. What are we going to do with them? So you can get more money. You can sell more things. You can get a loan from the bank. You can go get a job. You cannot get more time. It's 100% not replenishable. So there's nothing more important than time. It's 100% finite, and every person gets the same amount, regardless of how much cash and resources they have.
Why is it a waste of time to second guess things that you previously scheduled?
Okay, so you have a certain amount of decision-making power all day. And that's why it's a good idea to do some of the harder tasks first thing, because sometimes you've depleted that. But let's say you've already planned to do something. You've already put this thing on your calendar. Do I want to just sit there and lament and go back and forth on if this is useful or if this is not useful, or do I want to just do it? And instead of doing that, back and forth, regime in my head of if this was beneficial the first time, do something else. And maybe what's the worst thing that happens? You attend a bad appointment, or you do something and you realize it wasn't useful. Well, it's just going to make you better and sharper next time you agree to do something, more likely to say no to something that doesn't matter. So I think it's usually a waste of time. You've already put some thought into it the first time to say that it was worthwhile. Don't lament on it. Just put that in your calendar and knock it out when it comes up.
Is rescheduling immediate, or does it often take efforts to create interruptions?
So normally people think that if I reschedule this hour, I could just do this in another hour over there. But I would argue that rescheduling is it often takes some time. So what happens is, now I rescheduled. I've probably lamented on it. I've probably decided, do I need to do this? Can I do it another time? So I spend some time doing that. Then I'm going to reach out to the other person that I was supposed to have an appointment with the first time. Best case scenario is I can reach out to them and reschedule it immediately, but a lot of times that doesn't happen. You reach out to them, you're going to leave a message, and they're going to call you back, and they're going to leave a message because then you weren't available then. Then you got to call them back another time and do that. So not just the back and forth, but how many interruptions have we now created? And we know that interruptions are the enemy, and when it comes to getting things done. So we've just invited extra time. The appointment's still going to take as long as it was to do, but now we've just had extra time rescheduling and created a bunch of interruptions that make us less productive when we have a time crunch anyways.
Why is taking 15 minutes to reschedule an appointment like a high-interest loan?
Yeah, this is what I've likened it. Everyone knows the money marts of the world and the payday loan companies, and everyone knows, those aren't good. We know those aren't good. But let's look at the math on some of these rescheduling activities. And let's just say, it takes you 15 minutes, or it's costing you 15 minutes in between the time to think about rescheduling, to reaching out to the person, to getting back to them, and getting a new time, and creating a bunch of interruptions here and there. And that costs you 15 minutes of time. This appointment, that appointment might have been 60 minutes to begin with. So I've just spent 15 of my most precious resource. Let's pretend they were gold diamond coins, to reschedule a 1 hour appointment because I didn't have time to do it this week. Now this thing is taking me an hour and 15 minutes. So 15 out of 60, we're talking this is a 25% interest rate. So yeah, I got an hour back, but I had to invest an hour and 15 minutes to get that hour back. We put that in the form of a loan, and if you look at that interest rate, it just becomes astronomical. But business owners are doing it all the time because they don't realize that time invested in rescheduling. If you're so busy not to do it, if you're so busy that you felt the need to reschedule, that's more reason why you shouldn't, because you just don't have any time to reschedule anything.
What do customers do if you start rescheduling appointments with them?
Okay, so now you have customers, and let's say you in a worst case scenario, the customer gets really frustrated with you and they fire you. That can be number one. But let's say you have a good relationship with that customer, and that's not going to happen, and they're pretty easygoing about it. So you reschedule with that customer, and sure, they're okay with it, and you've invested in this high interest loan, and you felt that's okay, I'm willing to take an extra 15 minutes here. But guess what? That's not where it ends. Now this customer starts to think that, oh, okay, all our meetings are kind of flexible. If we can't make them, we'll just do it the next one. So now you've invested 15 minutes to do this one, but now that customer, over the life cycle of them being your customer, they're going to do that to you again. That's going to come back to you. They're going to start to realize that these appointments aren't that, you're okay with rescheduling, so they're going to feel much more comfortable with you. So now we're not just looking at 15 minutes to reschedule an hour appointment. We're probably looking at the customer doing it to you. That's another 15 minutes. Now we're half hour to reschedule this 1 hour appointment.
What do employees do if you don't make good on appointments with them? Same
thing. They won't hit their deadlines. You're supposed to meet with them, and often you're paying them to be on the clock. So now they're going to reschedule on you. And this just becomes this vicious circle. Everyone realizes that deadline doesn't really mean anything, and we're all just spending our time and spinning our wheels, rescheduling this and rescheduling that, and we're not actually doing anything to knock out the tasks and move them forward, which is the most critical thing. Because remember, we're in a time crunch. That's why we wanted to reschedule in the first place.
Is finishing on time often better than being perfect?
100%. 100%. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Now, I'm not saying you do a shoddy job at something and just get it done for the sake of getting it done. But, if you can get it to 90%, and it's 90% is what, everything you could accomplish, that's pretty good. Often the time and keeping the project moving. Often your project is just one in the sequence of running a business or helping a client, and no matter what it is. And if you can hit that deadline and be on time and have a good quality product, it doesn't need to be perfect. Often being on time is better than being perfect.
Why are appointments with yourself often easier to cancel than with others?
So these are even the harder ones. We made an appointment with ourselves because I need to do content to update the website. I need to do a checklist so my staff can answer the phones and intake the new clients better. I need to block off time to do my accounting to make sure I have the right numbers that I can actually make good business decisions on. But that appointment is with myself, and I'm supposed to sit down and do some solitary work with myself, and often that is the easiest appointment to reschedule because there's no one else in it. But often those ones that you're doing yourself are the most important things to do. You got an appointment later on with your phone supplier, and they're going to talk about which phones are going to be cheaper for your business, and they're going to save you $20 a month. But yet you didn't knock out, how to intake clients and do a better checklist. Usually those appointments that you're doing as the business owner, to go into strategy yourself, they're the most important strategic initiatives of the business. And because that appointment, you blocked off time to do it with yourself, not with anyone else, it could be the most tempting to cancel because no one really knows if you cancel it other than yourself.
Why are appointments with yourself the most important to keep?
Yeah, they're those big, high-level strategic initiatives. I'm going to do content, so the phone rings. And often most problems in businesses can be fixed with, more leads. If you have more revenue opportunities, it can fix a lot of problems. I need to put this time in to get the information into the accountant that I can get my numbers right in my business so I can make good business decisions. The appointments with yourself are usually on big, significant strategic initiatives that you as a business owner are tasked with. they're not with the day to day. So those strategic initiatives, they're with yourself, and they get canceled when they're the most important.
Is it a bad idea to reschedule one client to deal with another client's emergencies?
I think so. Yeah. Most emergencies are created by someone else's poor planning. That's can be a little harsh, but that's usually the truth. So most emergencies that you're going to encounter are because of someone else's poor planning. Every once in a while, it's because of your own poor planning. But usually that's what it is, and you don't want to reschedule that one good client because they didn't create that emergency for the one that always has the emergency. They're never going to learn to plan effectively. So I don't think it's the best use of your time to blow off one client to tackle another client's emergencies. And also even going further than that, sometimes it's not a good idea to blow off your main strategic initiatives to tackle the emergencies of one particular client as well. There are always going to be emergencies. Your client is always going to have emergencies. So you don't want to be blowing off meetings or deadlines with clients who somehow mysteriously just don't have all these emergencies, or the main strategic initiatives that you have as well.
Why is it important to have some extra time in your schedule to deal with issues?
Yeah, so clients are going to have things that they come up. They're going to have those burning fires, and even good clients with good planning, they're going to have things that come up, and you can't completely ignore them. That's not what I'm saying to do, but I'm saying you don't cancel your strategic initiatives. The pre-planned appointments with other clients, pre-planned appointments with yourself to work on strategic initiatives. That's not what you cancel to tackle a client's emergencies. You need to have time, extra time in your schedule that facilitates that you can deal with an emergency or two. You can get back to people so they can get quicker information. And sometimes that's as simple as making your appointment blocks a little longer than they need to be. You think every appointment's an hour, but you schedule an hour and 15 minutes. You can get back to someone on an important issue before there. Or you have a set block in your day with purposely not scheduled with anything, so you can deal with whatever burning fire happens at that time. So having a little bit of extra time in your schedule, make sure that those planned initiatives for other clients, a planned strategic initiative time, those don't get knocked off your schedule in the favor of dealing with the burning fire of today. So I think that's what we have here for today. Thanks so much for joining us again. As always, please hit the like and subscribe button so we can continue to deliver you tips on how to beat the odds at business. And if you have any queries, please leave them in the comments below. We'd love to do a feature video on one of your comments. Thanks very much.
Thank you.